Good afternoon. I'm Wallace Allen. This is Empire Talks Back. Today we'll be talking to Mr. Keith Person. He wrote the book Calculus and Crack. When we do come back, we're going to take you immediately into the workshop so you get a chance to see what Mr. Person does in real life. He is an engineer, and he uses that position to help motivate young folks to move into that arena. And I think the engineering quest on his personal part has something to do with the book, Calculus and Crack. We'll be back right after this short break.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
I ask you to go get the kids because there's an experiment they need to see. You need to stick around and see it too. Mr. Keith Person, I introduced him a little earlier. We're introducing him again, and the table. Keith, what is all of this stuff and what are we going to do with it?
Okay, what we have here are just a number of electronic items that I built at home in my backyard, actually, or should I say garage. Right here, what I have is a Tesla coil. A Tesla coil is a device that was developed by an engineer by the name of Nikola Tesla back in the 1800s. And there's a big war with respect to who was responsible for creating electricity and bringing it to the masses. Well, we all know Thomas Edison because Edison is the person that we pay our bill to, right?
Absolutely.
So everyone knows him, but people don't know Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla played a big part in actually developing the mass electrical system for transmitting power to our homes. So this design right here is one of Nikola Tesla's design, and it's basically a very primitive form of demonstrating electrical resistance. Sometimes I get shocked when I demonstrate it, but it's all in fun, so let me go ahead and demonstrate it.
Should have been here earlier. It was really exciting.
So let me go ahead and demonstrate. These are basically three different types of Tesla coil. This one right here is a coil that I built using a fly swatter. You know, the electric fly swatter you buy from the,
Lowe's,
the
Home
Lowe's
Depot,
or Harbor Freight. I paid $2 for it. I took it apart, got all the electronics out of it, and I was able to build this Tesla coil here. So what happens when I press this button, hopefully I don't shock myself.
But if he does, be sure to catch it on camera.
You see the spark here.
Okay.
And what happens is that spark generates a magnetic field inside the Tesla coil. And if you notice, the bulb is flashing. And if I pick it up, it still flashes. It's not even connected to any wires. Pretty cool, huh? This one right here is a smaller version of the Tesla coil, but much more powerful. And if I plug this one up, the light lights up. And if I pick it up, it still stays lit. How do you like that?
Now,
If I
why
put
does
it in my mouth, well, I'm not going to do that because it didn't go well the last time. But anyway, I take this Tesla coil around to the different high schools and colleges, and I demonstrate to various kids of all ages the principles of electricity, and I try to get them excited about electronics. And the reason why I do this is because there is there's a lack of kids going into science and math. We don't like math. I mean, if you can remember back in the day, hey, take this math class. Can't do the math. Give me something that's a lot easier. Now, kids are just really fleeing from the math classes, and that's a big problem because I read in the Forbes magazine about a month ago that there are 1 million jobs in internet security or IT, okay, computer engineering. If you're not taking those math classes, those science classes, you're not going to be able to apply for these jobs that are paying in the order of $150,000 plus a year. So I try to encourage these kids by using different electrical experiments, electronics, to say, hey, if I can build this in my backyard, you can do this too, and you can apply these same principles. And if you can learn this basic stuff, you can learn the math that will get you the job that will make you a good living in the future. So that's what I do, basically.
So Keith, as you do these experiments with the kids, do you ever let them come up and get shocked, or do they ever get a chance to play with this stuff?
Yeah, would you like to?
No, I'm just
demonstrate?
really concerned about the kids and their ability to have a hands-on.
Well, I'll show you this one right here. The shock is really not too bad. So if I hold my finger here, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but there's a small little bolt of lightning that's hitting my finger. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Off of the
Yeah.
cord. There's a piece of wire coming
Yeah,
up.
so there's a little bit of bolt of electricity hitting my finger, and it feels like a really nice massage. So it's not too bad.
Trying to convince me to actually, but I'm not going for it. Okay, you pulled your light away from the,
Yes,
and it
I did.
still stayed lit. Is
Yeah.
that got anything to do with our wireless concept as we,
Actually, the principle of wireless charging is directly related to what Tesla did back in the early 1900s with this Tesla coil. Basically, what the Tesla coil is doing is it's creating an electromagnetic field. Sorry, those words get a little hard to say sometimes. But basically, we're creating an electromagnetic field, and that electromagnetic field is basically sending electricity through thin air.
and we have those electric magnetic fields at both ends of our planet, the North Pole and the South Pole.
Yes.
And that's
exactly.
about as far as I'm going to go with my lesson on it. But the reason we're talking about this is based on the fact that Mr. Person, as I said earlier, is the author of a book called Calculus and Crack. This is a story, a very, very moving novel that he has written. And all of it is about a young man who had the choice of pursuing this or pursuing what the streets had for him.
Exactly.
I don't know how much of this book is autobiographical. What's the word?
Autobiographical.
Right.
Yes.
But how were you in math when you were?
Horrible.
Okay.
Horrible.
So there's one link. The hero in the book is a young man who was not liking math
Initially, yes.
initially, but who wanted the math and the opportunities that the math would give him. And I think the struggle that we see is one of what the streets are trying to seduce him with,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
how he garners the power and the determination
Right.
to stick with his pursuit of trying to get shocked with stuff like that. Much more than that, but it's a great book, and we're gonna, right after this break, we're gonna go sit down and talk a little bit more to Mr. Person about his book, the reason why he wrote the book, and some of the very interesting things about the book. We'll be right back.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework. I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
1 in 5 children struggle with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to understood.org.
Hey, we decided to come back in here because there's a couple of more things we need to show you. Actually, some radios that Keith built in his garage again, and I don't know if we're going to see his name on them or not, but I don't know. You built these radios,
Yes.
and this is to encourage our kids again.
Exactly.
Do they listen to the radio?
Of course they do.
Very good.
Yes,
Okay.
of
Well,
course
tell
they
us
do.
what's going on here with the radio. I see the speakers. I am electronic enough to recognize those.
Okay. Now, this is what the kids really like. I'm always trying to find ways to get their attention. They love music. They love loud music. So what I did was I built my own Bluetooth stereo speakers. Here's one speaker that I just built. I'll just kind of turn it around so you can see it. It's completely wireless. It has its own self-contained battery system, and I'll explain the batteries real quick. I build my own battery packs. This battery pack right here is built from batteries that are the same exact batteries that run the Tesla vehicle. This is an 18650 Tesla battery, and in order to build a battery pack, you must wire the batteries in series and in parallel to get the correct voltage that you need. In this case, this Bluetooth stereo system is rated for 24 volts, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate it by turning it on. Have these cool little blue lights on the bottom.
Right.
The kids really love those. And I'll play some, hopefully, friendly music for you guys.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break.
And this thing will play for hours and hours because the batteries last a long time. That's what I really like about the Tesla style batteries. They last forever. They're easy to work with, and it's easy to do projects. And you know, once I show the kids, you know, how easy it is, they really get interested in projects like this. Now, as far as what this looks like in the inside, I have a demonstration right here. This is a speaker that I'm also working on, and these things at the top are really not speakers. They're called bass radiators, and what they do is they increase the amount of bass that's produced by the box. And the reason why I added these is because when you have a small space, it's hard to get like decent bass out of them. So I added these bass radiators, and then the things in the front, of course, are the speakers. This right here is an amplifier board. Just bought it off the internet. So when I'm demonstrating this to the kids, I say, hey, you know, I just bought this board. I paid 20 bucks for it, and I'm going to just put it in my amplifier box with the batteries. And this device right here is the actual Bluetooth receiver. So what happens when I flip this switch, hopefully I won't get shocked.
Oh, well, maybe you will.
And this is just demo mode, so I can demonstrate how the device actually works. So I hit the switch. This Bluetooth receiver hopefully should pick up the signal. And if I press play, let's see what happens. And what I like about these systems is that I build high-powered Bluetooth speakers.
How much does it cost? What does all this equipment cost?
To build this speaker right here is going to run you about 250 bucks. And the reason why is because I use high-quality components, okay? You can build them much cheaper if you use the cheaper stuff, but you know, let's not cheat our kids with the cheap stuff. Let's give them the good stuff so they can appreciate it. But
when do you want to give it to them, Keith? I mean, what we're looking at here is obviously a project for a group of kids. I don't know, maybe we need some businessmen to come up with the money and maybe get 4 or 5 kids together.
Definitely.
You know, what would you propose to do with something like that? Okay,
what I'm working on right now actually is putting some inexpensive kits together to make it very user-friendly to where the kids can actually do this themselves. This right here requires a lot of soldering and heat and hot, and I don't want to, you know, get in trouble with lawsuits if a kid gets burnt. So I need to find a real user-friendly way that would make it easy for them and a lot safer. And I'm looking at around maybe $40 per kit. Mm-hmm. And I would just, you know, give kids in a classroom about 30 kids in a classroom, and then I would demonstrate how to put the device together. They'll get a lesson on resistors. You know, what is a resistor? You know, it allows a specific amount of voltage to flow through it, which is really important in the lessons of electrical engineering, because you're going to do a lot of circuit design. And if the kid actually knows what the circuit looks like, then he's not going to be so afraid when he has to draw the actual problem on the board.
What we need to do at this point is kind of pull the curtain on the display. Let's aggravate the world by asking them to ultimately help you put together the kits, and let's find some kids and see if we can't assure our future, or at least give ourselves a better shot by exciting some more people, young folks, about becoming engineers.
Yes,
and at least being able to put together some radios. Do you think I could do this?
Sure.
Man, you are so motivating.
You're the man.
We'll be back right after this short break, get a little bit more information from Mr. Keith Person, and let the kids stick around. We'll be right back.
One in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
That was pretty exciting all there in the workshop. I'm excited about the prospects of our kids doing what you showed them to do and not getting shocked.
Yes.
And we had it planned that Mr. Person was supposed to get shocked, but he didn't do it that time. So we're going to be all right. Keith, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And the experiment, and thank you for the book, Calculus and Crack.
Yes, sir.
The hero in your book is a young man who...
Daquan Johnson.
Daquan Johnson. Let me let you kind of introduce that flow, because I don't want to tell too much of the story.
Okay.
But I am very excited. I haven't read the whole book, and so I probably take people on the wrong direction in a couple places there.
Okay. Well, where I want to start is the reason why I wrote the book in the first place. Some 15 years ago, my job asked me to do a recruiting event to recruit new engineers out at my college where I graduated, Cal State Northridge. I was really excited about doing, the recruitment, because I'm thinking, yay, I'm going to hire some new engineers, and so hopefully it'll be an exciting day. After the end of the day, I probably had maybe one minority kid come to me and ask me about an engineering job. This made me realize that there's really a lack of blacks and Hispanics in engineering, and I wanted to dig deeper into that problem. And I found through my research that the National Science Foundation did a study back in 2012, and it estimated that approximately 3,000 minorities, which includes black and Hispanics, received degrees in engineering out of almost 200,000 plus nationwide. So that really saddened me to see such a low number of minorities going into the engineering field. And at that time, I decided that I need to do something myself. So I started speaking in classrooms, going to colleges, and telling kids what I did for a living and how you can make a good living doing this, but you have to take, the correct math classes.
Calculus.
Calculus is one of them.
A great magnet to make you want to, go to class and hang around and study calculus.
And then you woke up, right?
Yeah, well, it's not something we've all been invited to enjoy or participate in. It's a game, not a game, but it's something that you have to go through some other math to get to. You don't just go to calculus, though we do go to calculus.
Exactly.
Generally, I mean, with our critical thinking and figuring out how to do things, but that's not called calculus.
Exactly.
So what is calculus so we can relate to that? I mean, could I learn calculus?
Sure you can, if you have
got so
time.
much
If you want to
confidence
barricade yourself in the library like I did when I was studying. When I was growing up, I didn't know what an engineer was. Didn't have many role models in the area where I grew up, which is South Central Los Angeles. So the idea of the book is basically, it's an inspirational story about a young kid who wants to become an engineer. Now, when people first look at the title, Crack and Calculus, they get a little bit disturbed, like, oh my God, it's a book about selling drugs, or it's another Boys in the Hood type book where people get shot and there's lots of violence. It's not that at all. Calculus is the class that my character that I created.
We're going to probably have a hard time selling it. Well, I mean, in general, I don't know how long the other books were out before people are talking about making a movie of them.
Right.
But this is certainly movie worthy. You've got the characters that have to make major decisions in their life, like all of us do.
Exactly.
And the fact that your young man in this book had a little problem with math initially, and you had a little problem with math initially.
Right.
How close is his story to your story? How much of
it's pretty close. When I started college, I started off in basic math. Okay.
When you were in high school, and as you were at that point still pursuing, you were definitely pursuing engineering.
Yes.
And there were not a lot of black engineering heroes that we knew about.
Exactly.
But we wouldn't have been on the moon were it not for some black engineers.
That's true.
So it's not that we weren't participating or that we weren't capable. So when you, some 20 years after we'd been to the moon, are in high school, one of the characters in your book is a school teacher, a calculus teacher who I think someone called the Confederate battle flag waving instructor
Yes.
who didn't like
the color black.
The color black, not just black folk. He doesn't like the color black.
Well, you know
the issue that's hidden from most of the world much of the time is the lack of inspiration that's available to some of our kids because of why a teacher who's able to be easily branded racist would still be teaching in a school where there were minorities, but it occurs. And not to jump on teachers, because we have some teachers that are very, very good. And obviously, Daquan had to meet a couple of teachers that were very, very good as well.
Yes.
So this idea of encouraging, motivating our kids, all kids, to do better.
Right.
Because I don't care what kid it is that grows up to be a hoodlum, he's a threat to you, he's a threat to me.
Exactly.
So how successful, first of all, how is the book doing?
The book is doing well with respect to reviews.
The reviews are amazing.
Yes.
They tell a little bit, possibly more than they should, but they've made me decide I'm going to definitely finish this book in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Because it's a fast read. I can look and see, and there's
is.
things that we can identify with.
Yes.
And our hero, how does he do in the end here? Can you, how much of the book do you want to expose?
I'll give you a little snippet so I can get people excited. He starts off in the basic math classes, which I refer to as dummy classes, because he's not good enough to take the regular math classes in college. So he has to start off in remedial courses. So he's doing remedial math. He has a hard time with that, fails, eventually passes. He has a hard time with English, fails, eventually passes. And then finally, when he gets to this calculus class, he runs into this professor who basically makes the statement that I don't see why minorities can pass higher level math classes. He makes this statement in front of the whole class, and my character is looking like, well, why do you think I can't pass this math class? So he's telling these kids from the jump street that they're not going to make it, and my character, being one of few blacks in the class, is very concerned about that. So in the end, my character contemplates stealing the exam from the professor's office, okay? And this is where the plot really gets thick and the story really gets going, because, if it's an inspirational story, why am I having this character break into the college professor's office and steal the exam?
And he did do that. Well, no, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to answer that part.
Yeah.
I don't know what page it's on, but I'll get to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
but that was a big choice he had to make.
It's a big choice.
Let me ask you this. Anywhere in the book, did he go to jail?
He was accosted by the authorities. I'll just put it that way.
Listen,
But
there's so many times that we rode down the street. The guy wrote a song about it. He says, when the light comes up in the back of your window, and he wasn't even black.
Right.
So the idea that we're talking about is this is the growth. This is our period in life where authority is one thing and our goals tend to be another.
Right.
Same thing for young non-black kids. They've got to go through this challenge in life.
Right.
So this is a friendly challenge, and at the same time, it's a very desperate challenge.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Is anybody talking to you about a movie, TV series? If they're not, then we will.
No. So
okay.
If you want to be the first one to make that statement, hey, I'm all ears.
I think it's definitely something from what I've read that we would love to see in the movie screens and things of that sort. What I want to do is say that there's never enough time.
Of course.
And we have had an opportunity to see a little bit of your engineering skill, not your real skill, but your skill in talking to our young folk. And I want to remind people that that's very important. Our reason for doing what we do is to motivate.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and we do want our young people to be so happy in life that when they see our older, mature selves, that they're willing to help you across the street. Okay, okay, so that's really important. It's not just it's not just for you, and it's not just for me, and it's for the kids here.
No, we need to help.
Very good.
We definitely need to get back. Yes.
Keith Person, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your spirit. We appreciate your vision, and we hope that things work very, very well for you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again in the very, very near future. Thanks for joining us. The name of the book is Calculus and Crack. The author is Keith Person. Keith.
Yes, sir.
How do people get your book?
Currently, you can purchase the book on Amazon.com, or you can go directly to my Facebook page, Wires, Math, Engineering, and Beyond, and you can also purchase a copy there.
How about your website?
That is my website.
Say it again.
It's a Facebook website. It's called Wires, Math, Engineering, and Beyond.
Buy the book.